or whenever you're watching this. Here we are again, locals only, or Flows episode, Super Bowl edition. Introduction. Go ahead with our starting lineup. little sports thing. We got up Ghost Creatures
Everybody. Today we got some medicated nachos.
and Cameron from Cameron's Culinary.
Hello, we have some nachos, like Ghost said. How's everybody doing?
Everybody's all right. Everybody's excited for this, I'm sure. It's been a long week for everybody. I know it was hard for us to put all this stuff together. I'm hoping this is a good game and everyone has a good time and it's nothing crazy happen. But today, we do have to come I want to go shows.
So I just got regular Vita cheese and cheddar cheese from the store. Added a little bit of water and cheese or sour cream to thin it out a little bit so it's right consistency. MCT oil, which is an excellent oil. Use it if you have a severe coconut oil, your coconut allergy because of it. But it's very oil free. It mixes well with fat, perfect for that. And it was a hash infused MCT.
Nice.
Do you know what strain it is?
It's a mix of 3 different strains.
Oh, okay. Do you know if it's it's hybrid linearly?
And we threw some extra stuff on there, obviously, like some sour cream, guacamole and stuff. I made a little ranchero just real quick, just roasted everything that you would put into chili. Just made it chili. It's just a fancy way of saying chili.
Yeah.
But we have some pickled onions and stuff on there. Do we want to go ahead and try them right now, guys? Or
Yeah, why not? Why not?
man, they're just sitting here. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll grab this.
But with that,
Thank you, sir.
you're talking about hash and processing that kind of stuff and how people can do these things at home. A lot of what people are eating and using lately is, as we've discussed before, is distillate based.
That crunch though.
Yeah, there you go. Distillate based edibles. And we're trying to teach people to move a little bit towards more full spectrum with like hash and stuff like that. Now, to do that at home it's actually quite simple. You do need quite a bit of working material, but again, I do know that Ghost has a good a bit of knowledge in regards to that. So if you could educate, as I tried this stuff too, a little bit on how to maybe hash rosin, but at least make hash at home.
Yeah, old school bubble is way easier to make than hash rosin because of the level of quality you have to get to produce good hash rosin is way higher. Bubble hash made at home, it's pretty simple. I mean, if you want to go the nicer route and get yourself a machine, just to make it easy on you, you can buy a bubble machine. They're on Amazon. Literally, you can buy a bubble machine with the bags and everything for like $150. Clean it every time. Use some ice water. It's the simplest way to do it. Everyone that I know makes hash prefers hand washed, but that takes a good amount of skill to not overwash it and get a lot of plant material in your hash. So there's something to be said for both ways to do it. I would say anyone that wants to make hash at home, if you have your own grow, now that it's legal to grow, take some of your extra material, some of the trim and stuff like that, and practice with that before you start doing buds and all that stuff. But hash is a wonderful way to take something that you wouldn't be able to use otherwise and turn it into something that you could either smoke or use for pretty high potency edibles. There's also static sifting or dry sifting where you can use screens. That's way easier to do than cold water because you're just taking dry material and shaking keef off.
Okay. I've seen other methods. I've seen people use like small, like tiny wash machines, like small little tiny like Costco wash machines. And you said you've done it by putting it in a bag.
Bring the mic a little closer.
Yeah, I'm saying you said you've done it by putting it in a bag in making your own hash before?
So you can go on Amazon and get bubble bags. Anybody can do it. You can go do it right now. But really, all you need is, like he said, is a bunch of working material in these different bags, and they're basically just bags with screens on them, and you just ice and water and agitate and agitate and agitate. Now it's very rudimentary, like he said, and you may, like, depending on what you're doing and how you're doing it, you may be beating it up too much and getting different um,
Plant material
plant
or
material.
contaminants. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so it's not going to be like just clean.
The goal with making hash is to isolate just the trichome heads. And if you're doing it at home, it's kind of hard to do that unless you know what you're doing.
Okay.
A-
Okay.
absolutely. Now you can't do it in a certain way, but I mean, to be as perfect as like you're going to get it out of a dispensary that or something like that is.
No,
I mean,
you're not going to do that right off the bat. It takes years of practice for someone to make good hash.
Okay.
But start now. Like I said, fail
Yeah.
now. I mean,
Figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean,
like, don't be intimidated by these things. Like, we would never be where we're at, and we're nowhere really, but where we're at if we didn't just try to take these risks.
Yeah.
just try new things and
That's
figure
really
it out. And
Just
hash
getting
is one of
under-
the things you can pick up pretty easily if you work at it.
Yeah.
the
No.
nachos. Sorry, and the nachos are really good, and you can definitely taste a little bit of that cannabis, and not like on the palate, but in your mind. Like as soon as you eat it, your mind's like, there's
Yeah.
something in there.
Yeah.
But you just kind of want to keep eating.
The flavor of the cheese mixes really, really well with the.
You did
Yeah.
amazing, man. It's just
Dude, I wanted to give my I wanted to give my critique of them, but I just kept eating, bro. So I was just stuffing my face, man. But yeah, man, they're amazing, dude. They are
absolutely.
amazing, and you can taste a little THC in the cheese, but it's not overwhelming. It's a really slight taste. You know what I'm saying? I think it mixes well with everything. I don't know. Is the heat only coming from the jalapenos?
There should no there in that ranchero. I did roast some serranos
Yeah.
and
Oh.
stuff, and some
Mhm.
jalapenos and stuff. I mean, roasted.
Yeah.
I got the oils going in those because
Yeah.
I
Can you break that down a little bit? Just what you did to make the rancheros?
Okay, so ranchero really is taking all the ingredients that you would have in chili, like the onions, the tomatoes, the peppers, the garlic, and everything, and I just took it and roasted it. Now, I'm going to tell you a little hack that I've been doing lately. But just to roast those peppers and whatnot, I just throw them in an air fryer.
That saves so much time.
So much
Wow.
time,
Yeah.
less mess.
They come out perfect too.
It just absolutely. And then I just take that, either dice it up or make a paste or something, and go from there.
Okay.
But that's really all I did. Now I did cheat, like I said, I did use some like canned beans and stuff. I mean, I would want to actually make my own beans, but we don't have time for that right now.
Yeah, you got to soak them and all the other steps. But
Yeah.
no, I just wanted to go back to washing hash real quick. What are like are there certain strains or certain types of I guess types of flour that wash better than other strains?
So
yeah, but go ahead.
it's very, very strain dependent. For instance, GMO, classic hash strain. And the reason for that is actually on a smaller level. Like you have to scope in and use a microscope to see the trichome heads. And if you look at GMO versus a lot of other strains, the trichome glands, the actual part that you want that has most of the THC, is very large. And the neck connecting that to the stalk, which is what you don't want, that's a contaminant. There's no THC in that usually, is very small. So it's
Mm.
easy to get the head to break off of a strain like that versus a strain where the buds clump together and you have heads that are really short connected to the bud. It's really hard to get those off in comparison to a strain like GMO where it'll just chop the head off.
Nice. Yeah, because I've even seen like what was it when Grow Sciences was first kind of like making their name out here and stuff like that. I saw their GMO. This was back, I believe, when Smirkaboro was their master grower. Um, the trichomes that looked like were actually like, I thought they were growing into each other, but now that you explain that to me, I feel like maybe they were just so top heavy. They
They're
were just
leaning onto each other and they're very sticky. Trichomes are very sticky, so they tend to
That's-
group together once you get them big enough.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. But on top of the hash, though, what we're trying to get away from is the distillate.
Yeah.
Reason being, distillate, I feel they start with a lower product.
Yeah, you can take floor trim. Like you could take anything from like a lot of time that they're making distillate, they're taking material that failed for testing in flour or in other concentrates and then refining it further to the point where they don't have those contaminants anymore because they've taken out so much that those contaminants are gone. The contaminants are gone, but then all you're left with is THC and no other medicinal benefits. There's
Okay.
no CBD, no CBN, all the stuff that gives you a proper edible high, in my opinion, is all the compound effects.
The
Yeah,
full
all the
spectrum.
other cannabinoids and whatnot.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought about that. Just kind of whenever I do buy something from the dispensary, it's always just this percent THC. And I often try to see if I can find something that's like a 50-50, but it's really hard to find anything that's like 50-50 that still hits pretty hard as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten some hybrid stuff, and I used to like smoke carts and stuff that, and I'd be like,
We've all been there.
This is a sativa cart, and this is an indica cart, and all sorts of stuff, and no, it's not.
It's a sativa flavor or sativa terpenes.
Yeah, and it's like reintroduced whatnot, but like the thing that I would like people to get away from is acting like like. Have you ever gone into a bar and been like, I don't care what the flavor of the drink is, I want the strongest alcohol ever.
When I was 18 or
I mean,
21.
when you did it one time when it was cool, and it's not cool anymore.
Yeah.
Like we're not all just doing shots of Everclear all the time. Just you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
we
No.
like let's but with cannabis, and we're talking about the Super Bowl. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to say something?
No.
Okay. I was with the Super Bowl going on and whatnot. A lot of people are starting to talk a lot more about cannabis in sports, but I mean, for me, it's always been there. Do you guys have any perspective on that?
Just me personally, I used to work out a lot, and kind of now at this point in age, my body hurts a little more from all the working out and all the bad form I used to do when I was young. And our cannabis just makes it a little bit easier standing when I'm working and just doing just day to day things. You, you.
So I never played sports too much growing up. Played a little bit of soccer and stuff like that. But I have perspective because I keep up on the newest medical studies. Like I work a lot with CBD and that kind of stuff. So just seeing they're doing research with athletes and boxers and stuff with CBD, and they're showing that it prevents concussions or reduces concussion risk because it reduces the inflammation to the point where it's not as likely for them to have one. So I think if cannabis could be instituted with full spectrum stuff and they were using it as a preventative, I think it would be huge.
Yeah. I know myself. I even back in like 2015, I played semi-pro football in Missouri and St. Louis, and even through that, like a lot of us would smoke before like practices, before games, or even like especially afterwards because we'd be in so much pain. Everyone would be okay for us to drink alcohol, but then I'm not doing all that. I'm not trying to hurt
Yeah.
my body on
You're
top
poisoning
of
your body on top of
already
injuring
being
it.
hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the recovery is going to be that much harder, and then you're going to lose a day, essentially just recovering from the alcohol.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of us would do that, and anybody that's in like professional sports, they definitely need that stuff. So trying to like with piss testing and everything with like performance enhancing stuff, like they need to like let the weed go.
Yeah,
And so
I agree.
especially like with if it's helping
Yeah.
concussions and
No, that's
whatnot.
huge.
That's I mean,
Yeah.
what else are we doing? Now, I wanted to back up a little bit into the distillate. Now, I don't want to be too negative on with the dispensary with distillate and stuff like that, because for some people that is what they can get, and it's kind of an entryway into edibles and stuff like that.
For sure.
So I don't want to be too negative on that, but there are some positives. There's some brands out there that I would try over others. Try to look for more like less ingredients. If you
Yeah.
can get the bud tender or whatnot to show you the packaging and stuff like that, and go over
Okay.
that. Maybe a little bit if there's anything used with real fruit or anything like that.
There's a lot of brands that are actually starting to do it good. Use real fruit, vegan recipes, that kind of stuff. Um, I think it's really cool seeing the industry finally move away from sprayed candies because for the longest time, the industry and the black market both were just spraying infusions onto things and not actually making the candy itself. And to me, that's taking away from the medicinal part of it, because you're not getting it in there right to where you can't digest it, because it's just going to come off in your mouth basically, and it's not going to be metabolized correctly.
Mhm. Yeah, and that, or like as I was taught, and I could be wrong, as a bud tender, that a lot of your sativa receptors are kind of like in your mouth area, around your maybe buccal membrane and stuff like that. And if you're wanting cannabis or anything, well, by the time that's distillate, and it's not really sativa or anything. But if you're looking for more of a quick thing, they were saying to do it in your upper lip or under your tongue and stuff like that. But they said it was like sativa and this, what, that, or whatever. And by the time it gets to your stomach, it doesn't matter, indica or sativa. Do you feel that that's? I mean, there's a lot of misinformation in the industry, is what I'm trying to say.
So I definitely notice a different effect with sativa infusions versus indica infusions, even if you're eating it fully. I think it has to do more with terpenes and how your body processes different levels of cannabinoids than actual strain. Um, and it's very strain dependent. I've had some edibles that will literally almost make me panic attack, and that's off of the same kind of hash edible that I've eaten a different strain a different day and been fine off of. So I think just anecdotally, there's a very big difference in how you process different strains. Um, there's not too much research on it right now, just because there's not federal research. There's not funded research for edibles, even though that's probably where the medical market should be investing most of their research money, is edibles, because the older patients, the people with real issues that can't smoke,
Yeah.
need edibles. And it's been one of the mainstays in the market for a long time, but we haven't done real research on different strains affecting people different ways, different.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's so many different strains out there. Just the process of trying to figure out what might work best or what might be best or just what could just that.
Yeah. Now, what I would tell you to look for, which I found more, and I've had better experiences with, are edibles that have added cannabinoids, like CBN, which
CBG.
CBG especially. Like if you're looking for like kind of an uplifting kind of a thing, for me at least, and a lot of people that I've seen take the edibles that have CBG in them, and that gives you a good like energetic boost. I
CBN is
think
the opposite. CBN is sleep.
absolutely
Yeah.
CBN definitely will put you to sleep. CBN is the degradation of THC.
Mhm.
So if you ever have any flower, which has happened to me in the past, that you just had for a long time, and then you go and like, hey, I want to, you find a bag and you go and smoke it, and then you like don't even get like high, and you just immediately get tired. That's, you just smoke CBN.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because like I didn't know that. So that's actually good to know. Because like not that it lasts that long, but I think hey, it probably lasts for a long time, or probably you don't have to worry about it going bad because this is spice. Or I'd imagine in my head it's like some sort of spice that you can just use
Yeah.
at any given time. But even spices go bad after a while.
Yeah.
For sure.
In weed, when the THC degrades to CBN, CBG, and all the other ones, it's actually better for edibles at that point, because you're getting more of the stony kind of sleepy effect that most people look for from edibles. So sometimes older material can work really well for edibles. So if you have some stuff at home that you don't want to smoke anymore, that's not perfect, like for that, throw it in some oil and make some edibles out of it. That, don't waste it. Like,
This is what we're here for.
All right. So don't smoke old weed. Turn it into food.
yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
make
Yeah.
some bomb food too.
Yeah, and
definitely.
then you'll eat it, and then you'll be high, and then you'll be hungry, and then you'll eat more. That's my issue.
Vicious little cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the distillate and stuff, like I said, we want to kind of get away from. But hash is good.
I was going to say, how do they generally do it at dispensaries? How do they, if they're not washing the weed, what is the process of the weed extraction for them?
Well, it depends on what product and what brand you're talking about, because some of them do distillate, and honestly, I don't know if it's anymore, but for the longest time, they were getting most of the distillate from Copper State, which is one of the biggest growers in the state, and they were processing it into distillate. But it's all varies.
Yeah, I'm not sure on like who's processing what, how. There's so many different types of extraction nowadays. There's ethanol extraction, which is called EHO. There's BHO, which is butane hash oil. There's distillate, which is also an ethanol extraction, but they take it further than EHO. Um, there's so many brands coming out with different extraction methods. There's CO2,
Propane.
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 Yeah,
Yeah.
so if you see some of these brands around here that have like a really kind of odd yellow, almost orangish color,
It usually comes out way more crumbly too, like almost like a honeycomb.
yeah, and then they'll try to like a lot of them will remix like terps and stuff or
Mhm.
live resin into it to make it into a viable product.
Okay.
That's why you'll get like some yellow to orangish live resin that's really dry and like it's not terpy. It just sits there like a rock.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a little
It's
it's
propane.
weird. It's propane. And then you'll go to dab it and you'll be like, why does it smell like? Why does it kind of taste like fart? Because there's still propane, that stuff that they put in propane in there. I
Yeah.
swear. I'll tell you the brands afterwards.
Okay. Okay. No, it's just
I found them. I've smoked them.
okay.
Yeah.
No, it's like I don't know. I would imagine washing would be on a larger scale would be the perfect idea, but after
It's actually very hard to scale.
yeah.
Because having strains that are grown well enough to wash well and make them money is difficult versus if you're extracting with a solvent, you can get 10, 15, 20% returns versus like 5% with rosin, and 5% is high.
Okay. And then that also makes a difference with if you're washing your own stuff versus the strain you're using. Whereas if them extracting it that way, they can use any strain basically, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just like making food at home, you're controlling everything.
But I will say, don't make butane oil at home unless you know what you're doing. And even then, you probably shouldn't because you're risking blowing yourself up.
Just don't.
Don't do it.
Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Like we'll see you on the news.
Yeah.
We will see you on
Don't
the
do
news.
it.
We'll see you
Don't
on the
do it.
news. I've seen too many people using their thinking, and people think they're crackheads and stuff, but I mean,
Yeah.
kind of, sorta. I mean,
Well, it
like,
just seemed
yeah.
Well, I've seen it before, and it's like you grab what you use to refill a lighter, and you're just like refilling that. You're pushing the flour through,
Through a
and you just
glass
see
tube,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, the extraction of it, and it's fascinating that it's happening. But I'm also like, I'm smoking that.
Yeah.
Wait,
No, it's crazy.
yeah, or I'm eating that and I'm putting it in the food. It's like at that point you've made everything that was kind of clean to begin with. If it was clean to begin with, a little less clean. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a kind of catch 22. Like, because like for a while, like it was all live resin, and then I don't know what happened with the world, and then we discovered hash like it wasn't there before.
yeah,
But this industry out here, definitely in AZ, discovered hash and hash rosin. Then we all went to that, and then like I've seen even in like the big the writers like Jimmy Devine and stuff like that, talking about trying the resurgence of like uh, BHO and whatnot because they're trying to get it back because people are like they're like solvents are okay and everyone's still like no, like we want hash and hash rosin because people are just more aware of what's going on and
Yeah. People are becoming more mindful of what they put in their bodies.
that's
Not to a full extent, obviously, because you can't be fully mindful of like if you didn't grow it, you
Yeah.
don't know everything that they've put into the strain or in like you don't know what all they've put into the soil. You don't know what they've sprayed it with. So I'm a big advocate of finding grows that advertise clean practices and advertise like this is what our bud looks like, this is what the extract looks like that comes from that bud. If they don't show their bud or if they don't show their grow on a legal side, that's a very big red flag for me because you should be proud of what you're putting out. You should be proud of what the inside of your grow looks like. It should be spotless. Like
yeah.
Yeah, it's something I've seen quite a bit is pictures pop up on Reddit on different grows in Arizona that are like moldy and
Mhm.
not unkempt.
I mean, years
Unkept,
ago,
I'm sorry.
Urban Greenhouse before they got bought out had black mold in their grow room.
Yeah.
Like
And
that's insane to me.
that's in your lungs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, yeah. So you got to be careful. That's why, like, we're trying to do our thing slowly but surely over time from locals only. That way, you know where it's from, you know who it's from, and you know it's going to be good and above board. But like, we have there's like other companies coming out too. Um, like I brought up Smirkabro earlier. him and I don't know who else, but they're bringing a new brand called Legend Canna.
Yeah.
They're
Mm.
going to do a lot of the old school
Oh yeah, the old
classic
school strains.
strains and
Yeah.
stuff
Oh,
like that.
Yeah.
And he's an amazing grower and stuff. So like the craft stuff is starting to like come up. We'll just kind of see where it goes. Um, but
because you know, 'cause the main thing is like I feel like weed has become like Walmart in the sense where like they're just trying to create as much of it as fast as possible. And I understand you make money from it and it's taxed really high, which is good for what the taxes go to. But realistically, if I'm gonna spend some money, my hard-earned money on something, I'd rather have like good quality stuff. You know, it's like how do I even try to start to find the right dispensary to go to? Like how do I even try to start looking for what specific growers do I go to? Like does every dispensary hold every grower? There's too many different nuances and just trying to like make sure I'm getting exactly what I want, you know.
Yeah.
absolutely. So I feel like I'm going to try during all of these podcasts and stuff to educate everybody as much as possible on the different things within the industry that I know of. Um, and we can kind of go, and then people can go from there and take, you just take a little bit from everybody.
Yeah.
Just like in sales, no one is ever born a perfect salesman or
No.
anything. You go and you're like, this person does this well, this person does this well. You just take all of that and put it together, and then you can maybe, because it's going to be to you. It's
Yeah.
not going to be a universal thing.
Yeah. And then the main thing about just that I'm most happy about just like learning how to make all this stuff now, just hash and everything, is the fact that you can grow up to 12 plants at home here in Arizona. And just even 6 plants alone, I know somebody who has 6 plants, and those things are huge. Like the
They
amount
never
of
said how big you can grow the 6 plants.
Uh,
and then so then
I
that's
love
just
it.
half the grower. Realistically, you could set it to where you could cycle and have plants growing all throughout the year, and you're just washing. You have continuous use of your own weed. That would be ideal for anybody. That way, they don't have to worry about the process of just buying it and not knowing where it's coming from.
Absolutely.
I'm a
Uh,
big advocate of homegrown now, especially since it's legal. There's stores that sell clones. You can go and buy good genetics from a store. You know the genetics are good. You take it home, put it in a tent, and within a couple months, you have flower that you grew yourself that you can smoke yourself. It's something really special if you actually care about the plant and you care about where your medicine's coming from.
yeah, eventually I want to grow myself. I just, sometimes you don't have enough room and
Yeah,
stuff like
space
that.
is a
But
big issue with
Yeah,
that.
and it's a full-time thing. It's not like it's like taking care of like any other thing, an animal.
It's like a pet.
Yeah,
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 Yeah.
yeah.
Gotta feed it and water it,
yeah. Walk it,
walk it, give
talk
it
to it,
haircuts.
talk to it,
So
let
I'd
it
like to
listen
walk
to
my
some
weed.
music.
Yeah, all the things. Yeah, there's so many ways to do it, so many ways to grow, and right now, because weed is still in its infancy, so there's a lot of new things that's out there, and a lot of old things that are out there too that you can learn from. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, with like what we're talking about with the different grows and whatnot with speaking about dispensaries. Um Here's a little knowledge that I have being a bud tender. If you pay attention to the different strains of the different grows and whatnot, and then look in the concentrates that you have around, you're gonna start seeing who processes what and what's going on. Because not everyone grows the same thing, but all the like concentrate processors do they all do split tolling,
Yeah, so they'll end up with a bunch of the same strains or mixes of different strains and stuff.
right? So split tolling, if you don't know what split tolling is two companies get together. One has the flour, one does the concentrates or whatever, and they make a deal where either one they get a certain amount of the end product, or they get paid just to process it for them. 9 times out of 10, they're doing a split thing where they get to keep some of the stuff, and
And
then
then they
brand
put
it,
that on the market. Yeah.
and they put
okay,
it under their name. So you'll see some of the same strains from like popular brands, but then show up in some other like lesser, but it's actually the one who processed it. So you're actually getting that product, which may be cheaper under their name.
yeah. And I was just about to say that. So you get the same exact thing. I'm paying 15 for this. I'm paying 5 for this. It's like I'd rather pay 5 for that, but you don't
Yeah.
realize what you're getting. You think you're getting that top line, top shelf thing.
And
Yeah.
and there's top brands that don't have concentrates right now. I'm gonna drop a little knowledge for you guys. There's a there's a there's a top brand out there that has nothing but flour, and they don't have any concentrates out. Now, if you look into, I don't know, maybe drip
Yeah.
here and there, you'll start seeing those strains start showing up, and that's exactly what you think it is. But if you have any questions about that, I'm not going to put everybody's information out there. But this is kind of. But if you want to know, tap in with me, and I'll tell you what brands and what's going on. But something to look out for. You know, you can get some really good stuff at not as an expensive price. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go to break. Thank you very much. We'll be right back.
I'm gonna eat some more nachos.
Habari Entertainment Films present There's Only One Name
This
for
way.
News with Damon and Iesha. Habari Live Podcast. Habari Entertainment. A race against time. On a quest for glory. Habari News Weekly, HabariEntertainment.com. Catch us for more. Visit us, HabariEntertainment.com.
And we're back. I want to thank the crowd for all the work they've done today. Thank you very much for all the applause and everything when we asked for it. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Those nachos are bomb.
Yeah. Well, welcome back, everybody. Glad you stayed with us. Now, here's a little, we're kind of going into some stuff that may be a little more controversial for people, but I believe in it thoroughly, being a veteran with PTSD, combat PTSD being at that, is psychedelics. Okay. A lot of people are cringe up when they hear about it, but I embrace it. I've used quite a bit. It's changed me from the asshole that I used to be to a better person. I mean, I'm still working on that thoroughly. But yeah, I used to kind of be like more narcissistic and like kind of just kind of an asshole altogether. But like through psychedelics, it kind of like made me realize what life's all about. And, like it like to stop stressing so much and stop be nicer to myself, because if I wasn't even nice, like if you guys thought I was mean to you,
Yeah.
you have
You're never
idea.
as mean to other people as you are to yourself.
Yeah.
But it has like broke me out of that, and I wouldn't be here talking with these guys, to be honest, if I wouldn't have done all that kind of stuff, because I was so selfish. But I want to go ahead and Daniel want to talk about psychs.
So I think it's really interesting that we're seeing a movement now towards psychedelics being accepted and researched on the clinical, and like big pharma's getting into psilocybin super heavy right now because they see it as the next wave in antidepressant treatments. And it's very interesting because I think that microdosing could easily be better than almost any antidepressant from a side effect standpoint, from a neurochemistry standpoint, because it's not actually fully changing your brain chemistry. It's just altering it slightly. Versus when you're on an antidepressant like an SSRI, your brain chemistry is completely altered. I've been on antidepressants. I was on antidepressants for over a year, like 4 or 5 different ones. Getting off of those is worse than not alcohol withdrawals, because you can die from them. But
Yeah.
getting off of antidepressants was it took me almost a year to feel normal again. Versus something like shrooms, where someone could take them and be fine a day or two later.
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely. The government, everything's had me on all sorts of different things. They even had me on one pill at one point in time that's called Cymbalta.
Mhm.
I don't know if you know about
It's an
Cymbalta.
anti-smoking drug.
No, that was another one. But Cymbalta was for when you have a bunch of pain. I can't remember what it's called, but
Fibromyalgia, maybe.
yeah, It's mainly for fibromyalgia, but they were giving it to me as an antidepressant as a veteran, which was making me clench my teeth. It was giving me rashes on my hands and stuff, and making me shake uncontrollably. Like I couldn't process anything.
I feel like that make you feel worse than you felt prior to.
The side effects are worse than a lot of the symptoms that they're treating a lot of the time.
Because they're breaking your body. So like I did a lot of research into these kind of like pills and stuff. Like this is why psychs are so much better because it's a natural thing. And like you said, it's easier on you. A lot of these pills and these pill companies, once like they lose their rights or something, as a pill is used for something like this, or they find out
It's
it's
a
not
patent expiring.
There you go. The patent expires. Then they just throw it and mix it in with something else and say, nope, now it's good for this.
Yep.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's just trying to make money.
Yep.
And that's why like when people are on these things, they feel like they're zombies or whatever because you're breaking your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because it's not used for what it's supposed to be used for, or it's like, oh, this does stuff for your hands, but also it's kind of like how they figured out like Viagra, for example. It's like, oh, you happen to get an erection from taking this thing, so we're gonna make it as that, but not so friendly in that way.
Yeah. And
But no, with psychedelics, I've experienced them a couple times, and just it kind of just takes you outside of yourself and forces you to like have a different perspective of different things. Just kind of like not be so hard on yourself. Just I don't know how to explain it, but just the way it makes you feel. And I'm just glad seeing like just in California and Oakland, was it Oakland? I think that's perfectly legal there.
And Oregon, Washington too, I think.
Oh, Washington State.
Yeah, Washington State, and Oregon, I think both legalized psilocybin, and I think maybe even they're working on MDMA and LSD.
I heard of that too.
I thought Colorado was doing
Colorado as well,
Colorado,
yeah.
yeah.
Denver, I think, or Fort Collins specifically. I think only certain cities in Colorado have legalized.
Psilocybin.
Yeah, psilocybin.
I mean, and that's good. And I almost signed up. I mean, it's expensive right now, but I almost even signed up for. There's quite a few studies going as special K treatments, but I mean, these are like I think it's intravenous, like it's through
IV ketamine.
IV ketamine and whatnot. And it's a controlled thing and whatnot, but it was just too expensive for me at the time. But I mean, you have that kind of stuff. You have microdosing, which is becoming more and more popular.
So when you say microdosing, is that just like what percent or what amount of psilocybin is given during that process?
So usually anywhere from 0.1 to 0.3 of a gram of mushrooms, which in reality is only about 1% to 2% psilocybin.
Okay.
So you're talking about milligrams, like a couple milligrams.
Yeah. And the way that I like to do it, now this is I mean, everyone's going to have their own way. I like to, one day on, if I'm microdosing, one day on, next day's like kind of like wearing, like washing it out. And then then like a normal day.
Okay. So like
and then,
on, off.
Like on, 2 days off, on.
Okay.
Like kind of like that. So you're not like, you need time for your brain to like reset.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're actually doing some really cool studies with psilocybin and Alzheimer's and dementia, where they're showing that it can rebuild pathways in your brain.
That makes sense.
That's amazing to hear, because like I've had most of my grandparents end up with the dementia and whatnot, and I kind of see it coming because the VA also had me on Klonopin.
What does Klonopin do?
Clonazepam, Klonopin. It is. I mean, I'll just tell you what it does. It makes you high and it makes you just forget about stuff. It's like so.
It's almost a tranquilizer.
It's a benzodiazepine.
Okay.
So, even getting off of it, you can die if you just stop taking it. Like, but I did. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. But it like, so like all that anxiety and stuff, like maybe before you go do something or everything that's building up into that white noise, that like, that concert in your head, you take this pill, boom, it's all gone.
Okay.
You don't think anything though.
No, you're just kind of floating. And then after a while, it starts affecting your memory.
Okay.
And I already smoke enough weed and stuff like that. And, I'm not trying to, and obviously we're just trying to talk. see, that's me talking bad about weed. And I shouldn't even say that because it's saying that it can help your brain.
Yeah,
But yeah,
no,
it definitely makes you
There's
can bring
levels
on
though.
yeah,
early
definitely.
dementia. That pill alone.
Okay, because like from my understanding, like psilocybin or just mushrooms are just another branch of like they're closer to we are than plants are to us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, mushrooms are more closely related to us than plants.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I believe that, and I mean, and psychedelics are getting more and more accepted in mainstream. I mean, shoot, since we're talking about the Super Bowl, you got what Aaron Rodgers from the Green Bay Packers, who's doing ayahuasca, did all that. Recently, I saw him on the Pat McAfee show. He was talking about doing a four day and night stay in a complete dark room, like
Wait,
like there's no
no
light.
light.
You get fed, still no light for 4 days.
So
4 days
you
and nights, like absolute darkness. There's nothing in there, no TV, no light, no sound.
so it's like a so is there a shaman running it or kind of like
There's
controlling?
somebody there, but you do this all by yourself.
Okay.
You don't even talk with the people giving you the food.
It
Like
sounds like a version of Terrence McKenna's 5 grams of shrooms in total darkness kind of thing, but extended. The interesting thing is when you're in the darkness for that long, your brain actually feeds you visuals. After
That's
24 to 48 hours, your brain will create reality around you that's not there.
yeah. So that's what he was saying. He's
it's
like
fascinating.
he said that it has been known to make you produce DMT in your own brain.
It's interesting.
Yeah, because your brain can make so many different chemicals on its own. They're just naturally derived. What does ayahuasca do to your brain?
Well, you're talking with you have a couple different things that you have like the plant itself and then something else that I forget.
So, ayahuasca is DMT, which is derived from a root bark. And then you have to mix it with another plant that has an MAOI, which is a maoxy oxidase inhibitor. I don't know if I said that right. I don't. It's close.
Google it.
Yeah, just Google it. I can't spell it.
Cool.
What it does is make it so that you can ingest it orally. Otherwise, DMT is not active orally, which is why they have to mix two different plants, and then that's mixed into a brew, like a tea, basically. And people take it, and from what I've heard, within an hour or two, they start vomiting violently, and it's basically just clearing out all the bad energy, all the negativity and toxins you have in your body, and then from there on, you're in for one of the most intense trips of your life. Like I'm still scared of ayahuasca.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I've tried DMT a couple times, and there's like levels to DMT, like astral projecting. I've never even gotten there. I've gotten too afraid
Okay.
because like there's like the first step you have a little bit, and then the second step, and like things turn into like cartoons or like something.
Super fractally.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, like if you keep going, then you go to whatever. But I was just like, no, 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 and then I
And
was
that's
like,
that's something that I think is common with every psychedelic is that little bit of anxiety before you launch off. And I think that's something that everyone really has to experience and go through to understand them.
Okay.
Because it's it's almost like micro working through all the anxiety you've ever had in your life. It's working through some of the most intense anxiety you've had instantly and then having to be able to enjoy something afterwards. It's
So it so effectively it's like pre I don't know like it's like going through the process of well, it's not like you're going through the actual trauma itself, but it's like you're experiencing everything that you would have to, but then you've already experienced it, so now you're kind of ready for it
yeah.
in a sense.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe it's like you're never gonna experience trying to throw a touchdown to make the Super Bowl happen, but maybe you want to know what that feels like and then be able to deal with that anxiety just in case happens to happen. So maybe it could be like a form of maybe stage fright or something like that. It would probably help you work through that in a way.
I,
That's what
I,
I'm
I can
thinking.
kind of see it as a sort of a stage fright, kind of like not being maybe quite ready for it, but
Yeah.
it's really just like kind of what weed does. It shows you yourself, and a lot of what psychedelics, at least for me, what it did was like kind of wash away the things that this whole society, this whole world has kind of created, that everyone is kind of worshiping the Starbucks and the Red Bulls and the stuff like that, and it's all kind of like
Yeah.
that, and that anxiety is almost a point in which you have to accept that maybe everything you know isn't everything that you know.
And I
So
think that's a very interesting point to bring up, because I think traditionally that's why psychedelics have been illegal. If you look at when LSD first came around, it was distributed to psychotherapists and it was given out to mental patients. It was given out to the psychotherapists. They were taking it themselves to try to understand people who were insane. And then they said, no, this is too fun. This can't be insanity. And then they started using it for research projects. And then there was a specific one where they took 40 people in 40 different fields. These people were researchers, inventors, chemists, all sorts of stuff, and they had a problem that they hadn't been able to solve for 6 months to a year. They gave all of them acid. Every single one of them solved their problems.
Wow.
I mean, yeah,
So it's getting yourself out of a normal perspective is extremely important. Whether you do that with drugs, whether you do that with meditation, whether you do that with trips or like
Running,
running,
exercise, anything.
however you change your normal mindset, it's extremely important to do that as often as possible because it gives you answers.
absolutely.
Okay.
Just seeing things from a different perspective. Like there's so many situations in which I've relived and I've like been like, man, I was so stressed out. But if I would have just like calmed down and waited, like a couple hours later, that issue that I had, like say I needed some tongs or whatever, I couldn't find the things or whatever. But a little bit later, I had like chopsticks that I found or whatever, and I could use the chopsticks.
Yeah.
Like the answers are there.
Yeah.
Get out of your own way.
So
Mhm.
like to touch on what you're saying about like Starbucks and the way like society and life is. So like what I'm what I'm more realizing nowadays is like I think most people forget that we're animals. We're not this
We're
Absolutely.
part of nature.
we're part of
Yeah.
nature. We're not this thing. We are literally an animal that can talk and think about and say what they feel as opposed to just acting and doing it. And just the like you were saying like you kind of you have to get outside of yourself. You have to like pull yourself back from what's going on because everything that all the anxieties that we have from like either being somewhere on time or being somewhere at a certain date or is all something that's realistically not real. Time is a construct. Time is something that we just use to kind of mark or measure something. Whereas like
Yeah,
how
or we
we
be
treat it,
running around crazy.
yeah, I'm trying to remember the specific thing that I've learned, but it's like the moment you start adding time or factoring time into something that needs to be done or finished, you give yourself a certain type of anxiety that you could feel in a specific type of situation that wouldn't happen normally. I'm explaining it wrong, but more or less
No,
like
mhm.
yeah. So more or less like you're forcing yourself to experience something that you shouldn't experience by believing in a construct that's not real. So it would be like
It's exactly what I was
yeah.
saying. You just broke it down a little bit more. Like it's just like it's all there.
Yeah,
Just
I guess the craziest thing is like so money, for example. So like I was watching Groundhog's Day the other day, and the Bill Murray gives a
Bill
thousand
Murray.
dollars. He gives $1,000 to the piano teacher to like to take the kid's lesson away, so he can do it. And just from 1993 to now, $1,000 is $2,000 now. So it's like when did that happen? How is this happening? Why am I that worried about this thing? It's like, but it's ruling everything that we run. So it's like we need to have an opportunity to just forget about all the stuff that we're dealing with constantly on a day-to-day basis. It's just stupid.
yeah. People need to understand that the constructs in life are just that, or just constructs. Like just go out to the desert, get high, take a little psychedelics. I mean,
Look at the
with
stars.
some help, maybe.
Yeah.
Definitely, if you're not experienced with psychedelics, you should have someone that's either sober or more
Mhm.
sober or more experienced than
That's why
you.
psychedelic babysitters are a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or psychedelic sitters, not baby. But like go out to the desert, take some shrooms if you have like the right support and whatnot, and you'll realize that we aren't these things. We're way more.
Yeah.
Like
We're
if
energy.
with like this
Yeah.
the society and the buildings or anything are kind of all bullshit,
Yeah.
and that like we need to be a little bit more connected.
Well, so it's we're a form of symbiosis with this entire world. So like, because like the world's not living technically, but the world is living. So if you look at the world from the outside, you have the water moving, you have the air moving, you have birds and animals doing things, you have natural things occurring, just from it being habitable and allowing for it to be. Um, but it's just as humans, we've kind of forgotten that, and we're forcing it all to be a capitalistic
We've been taught
perspective.
that too, though.
Yeah.
We've been taught that we're above nature. We've been taught that we're separate. We've been taught that we're the pinnacle of existence. When if you look at nature, nature has existed as a perfect cycle forever.
Yes.
There's a show called Connected that really highlights that. It shows like there's dust from the Sahara Desert that's getting blown over to the rainforest,
Yep.
and it's
In
almost
Brazil.
ton for ton replacing the nutrients that the rainforest gets washed out every year. Like almost exactly like nature planned the ratio.
Yeah.
It's crazy how well nature works as a system, but we destroy it. We destroy the system actively to create capitalism, and at the same time, we're making it harder for ourselves to survive because we're destroying a system that's been sustaining us for tens of thousands of years.
Yeah. And then
Absolutely.
a lot of the things that we're trying to fight or fix. So, like with dementia and certain things, like I know some of it could be hereditary, but a lot of it can be exacerbated by the food that we consume. So,
Mhm.
like just today, I had some pizza the other night, and then the next day my stomach was hurting. But it's the highly processedness of everything. It just messes everything up.
Yeah, people don't understand like one of the main things with food a lot lately that you may have problems with, why you maybe need Prilosec and stuff like that, which means you can just beat up your body more. It's because and a lot of people get diabetes from, excuse me, salt quicker than they do from sugar. And most of the processed things that you're talking about are heavy in
Super
salts
heavy
and
in salt,
salt.
yeah.
And then you have soda. Most people don't even know that Coca-Cola and stuff like that, those are citrus drinks. They're
What?
made with citrus. Look it up. I've
Okay.
made it. Um, like cola is lime and lemon and like all sorts of stuff. Look it up. Yeah.
Okay.
But that little cola color, that's different. But yeah, it's mainly citrus stuff. So that's acid and acid and acid and stuff.
And then on top of that, a lot of the sodas are going to fake sugars and stuff like that now, where that your body can't even
Yeah.
process. Like sugar's bad for you, yes,
Yes.
but you can digest it.
A percent
A
of
lot
it.
of a lot of the fake sugars you can't even digest them at all.
Yeah, no.
And I swear my grandma died from like she had a heart attack, but I swear Diet Coke's what killed her because she drank it every day and she got dementia super early, like
Same with my
Wow.
grandfather.
early
With
60s.
Diet Pepsi.
Yep.
Really?
And that's the thing that I have to quit because I grew up with my grandparents and everything, nothing but sweet and low and diet soda and stuff. I don't even like regular soda because
It tastes
the
different.
taste different. It tastes
Yeah.
like syrup to me.
That's
Like
the
they've
thing
got me
is,
trained.
yeah.
But just like when in psychedelics, just real quick, last thing, and then I want to go into like some positives out of the dispensaries. But
sure.
psychedelics, like edibles, you're riding the same rails as psychedelics. So a very high dosage edible is pretty close to a psychedelic trip. So like, I mean, you can get there without having to go onto the other ways. But I just wanted to go like last episode we did go over some like, and we've kind of some negatives about dispensaries. But I mean, thank goodness that there are dispensaries nowadays that people
Yes.
have access to, especially the people who don't know a guy. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You don't have to
Yeah.
know a guy to know a guy.
Mhm.
So that's a positive. There's a lot of really good brands like the one, Alien Labs, like Grow Sciences, Abundant Organics. I mean, I don't like. There's quite a few brands that like Potent Planet. Like I like a lot of these
Um,
different brands.
one of the best grows in the state that I've been to was AYR, and you don't hear a whole lot about them because a lot of their stuff's packaged for other brands. But
Okay.
Is that
we might.
Oasis?
I'm not sure who all they package for, but I know it's a lot of people. Their
Yeah.
facility's massive. It's really well kept up. Like beautiful, beautiful facility, and we might be able to get the grower on here for one of the
Nice.
other episodes.
Oh yeah, some of the
Or
names
one of
that
the
I
workers,
was
yeah.
dropping out there might be some names that in the future might be on here.
Yeah.
We're in talks and we're trying.
The
But
community is excited. I've heard from a couple of people about the podcast. Everyone's been stoked about it, and I think it'll be cool to bring on some of the best people from the dispensary industry
Yeah.
and have them talk about the benefits from their end because they've done more with it. I'm an outside perspective. I've never worked in a dispensary. I've never had that experience.
Neither have I.
All of it's from things that I know from my friends that have worked in them or people that have been in the grow sides or people that have picked up bud from them. Like
Yeah.
I haven't even bought from a dispensary in probably 2 years, a year and a half. Like
yeah.
ever since Grow Science first started dropping the baller jars, I think that's the last thing I picked up from the dispensary. Oh wait, no, I'm lying. I picked up in the last like 6 months. I think I got some Canamo. Canamo concentrates the
The rosin?
The hash rosin. Yeah.
Yeah.
That stuff's awesome.
I forgot about them. My bad.
Yeah. Canamo, I'll give it to him.
Yeah.
And my good buddy Maz, who washes for Sticky Saguaro.
Yep.
He kills it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was just gonna say the positives of dispensaries, just in general. Yeah, being able to go buy some weed, just that in itself just makes that great. Like you don't have to go to like California or go to Las Vegas or go somewhere to try to get it. It's here. It's in our backyard. So there's that. And then the awesome part is just like the potentials for just work, jobs, just all kind of goodness in that way. So it's like you can take these you can take people who just happen to love weed and give them opportunity to just be in with the weed itself and learn about the weed and figure out new things with the weed, because it's constantly growing, it's evolving. And since weed is kind of in its infancy still, like I said earlier, like there's so many different things that can happen still. Just now, it's been what, 3 years since it's been legalized here.
Oh no. I mean, I've been here since 2015 and it was legal before then.
He's talking about recreational.
Arizona. Yeah, recreational.
Recreational is only 2 years, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Medicinally, it's been legal for about 10.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
So.
I
8, 10
even
years.
have my all the different cards. I even have the green card. If you
Yep.
know it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had one too. I'm
Yeah.
sad they went away from that.
Okay. Yeah, my medical.
But yeah, so I'm really excited about all the great things that we have coming up. Hopefully, we can get some of these guests on here. We'll go over some more edibles and news and whatnot. We didn't get to one thing. I want you guys to look it up though. Help yourselves out.
Yeah.
There's a little controversy with raw papers and whatnot that they had some metal and stuff in them. We'll probably bring that up next time and talk about that.
False advertising and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, false advertising, all sorts of different things. So we'll go ahead and bring that up next time. Thank you very much for tuning in. We will post a recipe on how to do that. It's fairly simple. I'll get it up there, if not today, tomorrow. But thank you very much, and Super Bowl. My bad. I'm going Philly because there's like 4 different Bama team members on there. So roll Tide.
I'll go ahead and oppose you. And I have a friend from Kansas, so
all right,
choose the opposite.
And Daniel,
I'm indifferent. Honestly,
he's going with the food, folks.
I'm going with the food and the advertisements.
Yeah,
I'm here for the smart advertisements.
We're here for halftime.
Yeah, and the laughs for me.
All right, thank you very much. Stay high.